Using the latest creative tools inside of Adobe Aero, I created 4 immersive augmented reality riddles where you explore an AR landscape while learning about your brain. In this 4-part tutorial series, I'm going to break down everything about how I made these experiences. But for part 1, we'll specifically go over how to import assets into Aero, how to prepare your layers inside of Photoshop, and we will conclude with how to publish your assets to share with anybody in the world. Let's get started. Alright, so let's start off with layer prep. I got Photoshop open on my iPad, and I'm going to click on the Layers button. The important thing to understand is that your layers represent data in space. And I'm just kind of clicking on and off. So the bottom layer here is going to be the very lowest of, it's going to be the bottom of our AR asset. And then as we work our way up, the one that I'm tapping here is going to be our top. This is going to be at the very top of our asset when we space out our layers in 3D space. And once you have your layers separated and your artwork is all nice like this, we can go to Publish and Export, and we can save it as a PSD because we want our layers. And I'm just going to save this right into my files, and then we can easily import this in the next step. The workflow is the same for using Photoshop on the iPad or Photoshop on your desktop. When using Photoshop files for Aero, it's recommended to stay under like 6 layers so that your file size doesn't go over 50 megabytes. Additional guidelines for the best practices can be found on Adobe's website for Aero. I'm going to show you how we can import our assets with Adobe Aero. And at the bottom left corner, there's a button that says Create New. We're going to click on it. First thing you gotta do is slowly pan your device around. And this kind of creates a point cloud and lets Aero understand what the ground plane is. Once you have a pretty good space, you can go ahead and tap the screen, and that tells it what the anchor point is, where it's going to load stuff in from. Great, now in the bottom left corner there's a blue plus sign. We're going to press on it, and you have some options. You can go to Starter Assets, Creative Cloud, your files, or stuff straight from your camera roll. I want to go to Creative Cloud. I'm going to click on the Aero folder in the upper left corner, and I'm going to navigate to my Brain folder as well as my Experience 1 tutorial, and there it is, our ground plane, our PSD file. We're going to hit open, and you're going to get a little loading screen. If you move your iPad or phone around, you'll be able to choose where it's going to land. And I'm just kind of tilting to choose my place. You can go ahead and tap the object to place it, and now you can move around your iPad and you can see your layer. Now this is awesome. This is our Photoshop file, and it actually knows about all of our layers, but right now you might not be able to see the layers. So what we need to do is tap on it. You can pinch it on your screen to scale it. You can also use 2 fingers to rotate, and you can also use 2 fingers and scale it. If you want to float it off the ground, use 3 fingers on the screen and you drag them up, and that kind of levitates the object around. It's really cool. Okay, I'm going to bring it back down with my 3 fingers so it's on my floor. And we want this to be the ground plane for the experience. So what I'm going to do is click on the Layers button down here, and it gives you the option to offset the layers. If I drag the Z offset, look at that. You get the ability to get all of your layers of artwork separated. Beautiful, fun. I'm going to bring it back a little bit. Something like this ought to do for me. Yeah, that feels right. In the latest release, there's a really easy way to rotate this asset since we want this to be the floor of our experience. So I'm going to tap on it and hit the rotate button down here. And look at this, you get this nice 3D gizmo. And you can drag right on the color to rotate along that axis. It's so easy to rotate. You can click on that reset button whenever you need to reset it. So I'm just going to rotate this down so it's on the floor. And that looks pretty nice. Yeah, I like that. And note that you use 1 finger to move it around, 2 fingers to pinch, and you can rotate as well with 2 fingers here. And now we have a nice little ground plane for our experience. Cool. I want to draw your attention to the red button here. You're also able to record your experiences or take photos. So awesome. But it's missing something. I want to put a tree on here. So let me show you how to import 3D assets. We're going to go to the bottom left corner, click on the plus sign, and then I'm going to go to the Creative Cloud again and choose Adobe Aero, and then choose my Brain experiences. And we have different trees in here. We called one of them the short, low poly, spiky tree. I'm going to hit import. Gives you the ability to tap and place it to load. And look at that, we got this nice 3D tree. Really cool. And what we could do is tap it move it around. Maybe I want to put it right here in the center, but I want it to sit on the top, so I use my 3 fingers to drag up. And I'm going to pinch to zoom to scale it up. And now I'm going to hit preview. And look at that. We got our nice 3D tree around our 3D PSD file because we used our layers to separate the height. Pretty amazing. I'm going to take a photo for fun. There you go. Okay, while we're at it, I'll show you how you can import images right from your camera roll into your scene. So again, I'm going to go to that plus sign in the left corner and then click on camera roll and go to all photos. And I have a bunch of stuff about the brain, so I'm going to bring in one of these images. This basic activity of the prefrontal cortex is to bring together thoughts and actions to achieve internal goals. So what's really cool is you can use the same gestures to move with 1 finger, 2 fingers to scale or rotate to place your scene. And I'm going to use 3 fingers to levitate that up. Now when I click on the preview button, we have the ability to kind of see our whole scene and start learning about our brain. These series of tutorials are going to explain the behind the scenes and how I put together all of these little puzzles for augmented reality in Adobe Aero. And meanwhile, you'll learn about the brain. So that's why we have all these brain assets. All right, if you have made it this far, you are ready to learn how to share your Adobe Aero experience. There's 2 different ways. So in the upper right corner, click on that upload button, and you get 2 options that are important. This share link option, if you click on this, it will give people permission to see this link. This link is like an authoring tool. You click on the create link button and you give it a couple moments. It's making a unique URL that you can share with anybody that will allow people to view your Aero experience later. This doesn't allow people to edit your work. This only lets people experience your work. Okay, so that's an important one. And then you click on that share button and then you can save out that link. You have an option called export as, and this is if you wanted to have somebody collaborate with, or maybe you want to work on a different device with your experience. You go to export as, and you want to save it as an Aero experience, so a .real file. That's the only one of these 2 formats that lets you use it on another Aero device and then edit it accordingly. And you just got to click on that format, and same idea, save it to a hard drive or some digital space that you can access that file later. Thank you so much for watching part 1 of 4 of the making of the immersive AR riddles. In part 2, I will show you how to make custom 3D models with Adobe Dimension and how we can even animate stuff inside of Aero with triggers. It's gonna be so cool. My name was Don Allen III, and I'm looking forward to having you learn more on the next one. Thanks for watching.